Hello students, in this video I will speak about Mendel's second law of inheritance, and this is called as law of independent assortment. In my previous lecture I discussed with you all about Mendel's first law of inheritance, and that is called as Mendel's law of segregation. And now we will discuss Mendel's second law of inheritance. Before proceeding further, we will see little bit information about Mendel's laws of hereditary. Now, you all know that Mendel laid the foundation of science of genetics through the discovery of basic principles of heredity. Mendel conducted different types of experiment on plant known as garden pea. The botanical name of that plant is Pisum sativum, and Mendel conducted different types of experiment on pea plant, and with the help of those experiments, he discovered basic principles of heredity. He conducted all his experiments in his small garden for 7 years, and after successful experimentation, he laid the foundation of law of segregation and law of independent assortment. And in today's lecture, I will speak about Mendel's second law of inheritance, which is called as law of independent assortment. So let's continue with Mendel's law of independent assortment. So this law states that when two pairs of gene enter in F1 combination, both of them have their independent dominant effect. These genes segregate when gametes are formed, but the assortment occurs randomly and quite freely. So this is the second law of inheritance given by Mendel, and it is known as law of independent assortment. So this law explains simultaneous inheritance of two plant characters. Suppose there are two plants having different characters, then according to this law, simultaneous inheritance of two plant characters is explained. For example, in F1 generation, when two genes controlling two different characters come together, each gene exhibits independent dominant behavior without affecting or modifying the effect of another gene. So for example, in F1 generation, when there is crossing of genes or there is crossing between two different characters which come together, each gene exhibit independent dominant behavior, and that gene does not affect or modify the effect of other gene. So whatever the genes involved in F1 generation, these genes pairs segregates during gamete formation independently. According to this law, the allele of one gene can freely combine with the alleles of another gene. Thus, each allele of one gene has an equal chance to combine with each allele of another gene. So, whenever there is crossing of characters or genes in F1 generation, the alleles from one gene will freely combine with the alleles of second gene or another gene. Each of the two gene pairs, when considered separately, exhibits typical 3:1 segregation ratio in F2 generation, and this is a typical monohybrid segregation ratio. So to explain this law in detail, I will give you example of yellow round and green wrinkled seeds. So when plants of garden pea with yellow round seeds are crossed with plants having green wrinkled seeds, you can see the cross in this slide. parents are there yellow round and green wrinkled. So when plants of garden pea with yellow round seeds are crossed with plants having green wrinkled seeds, we get yellow round seeds in F1 generation. You can see yellow round is crossed with green wrinkled, and in F1 generation we get yellow round seeds. All seeds are with yellow round characters. Thus, yellow color of seed exhibits dominance over green and round seed shape over wrinkled independently. So this is called as law of independent assortment. Now, the F1 produces four types of gametes. You can see capital YR, capital Y small y capital R, and small y small r. So in F1, four types of gametes are present, and when we do selfing of F1, it will gives us ratio of 9:3:3:1. So, the behavior of all these genotypes was studied in F3 generation, and out of 9 yellow round individuals, that is with capital Y, capital Y, capital R, was found true breeding in F3 generation. The other 8 individuals showed segregation of various types. Similarly, out of 3 yellow wrinkled individuals, breed true and others segregated in 3:1 ratio. So this is according to Mendel's law of independent assortment. Same thing happened with green round individuals. The green wrinkled individuals was also true breeding, and the entire phenomena of crossing between yellow round and green wrinkled pea plant is shown in this diagram. So after crossing, the ratio will be 9, 3, 3 and 1, and this ratio is according to Mendel's law of independent assortment. So this is all about Mendel's second law of inheritance, which is known as law of independent assortment. And this second law states that when two pairs of gene enter in F1 combination, both of them have their independent dominant effect. These genes segregate when gametes are formed, but the assortment occurs randomly and quite freely. So, in simple words, this law explains simultaneous inheritance of two plant characters. In F1, when two genes controlling two different characters come together, each gene exhibits independent dominant behavior without affecting or modifying the effect of another genes. The genes involved in crossing pairs segregate during gamete formation independently. The alleles of one gene can freely combine with alleles of another gene, and random or free assortment of alleles of two genes leads to formation of new gene combination. So that's all about Mendel's second law of inheritance, known as law of independent assortment. Thank you.